Erin, Dolan.
I'm so excited the ladies are holding it down. It's been a while. I think it's been a few months since Anita and I have done the show together.
It has. Let's dive right into it. We know how we do it on a Monday afternoon. It is reaction or no action, and we're going to start on the diamond. Here you go. AL MVP race is getting hot. If I was to take out the top three dudes, Ohtani, of course, Aaron Judge, Mike Trout, would you have a play in the MVP? Action or no? Wait, I'm sorry, reaction or no action?
No action for me in this one. Now, I really like Aaron Judge right now at plus 400. Of course, Mike Trout is deserving of the AL MVP, but the Angels are kind of fluctuating in the standings, so kind of staying away from both those players. Pretty crazy to think they have two great pitchers, the Angels there, but I really do think that Aaron Judge could likely win this. Again, we're not super early into the season. I understand it started in April, but it is still May, so I'm going to stay away from this market altogether, but I do think that Judge has a good shot to win it this year.
Yeah, I'm with you. No action here for me as well. Again, you know what you get with, what the Angels are able to do, as you pointed out. Mike Trout is having, believe it or not, his best season of his career, best slugging percentage. He's got a .323 batting average as well. But let's talk about Aaron Judge for a second, because a few weeks ago, I put money down on Aaron Judge to win the AL MVP. Here's the thing, contract year. Brian Cashman, the Yankees, did not pay him before the season began. There's going to be a number of teams, at least 10 teams, that are going to be coming after him if he continues to knock the snot out of the ball like he's been doing all season long. .318 batting average. Here's the other thing. People don't realize this. Aaron, he's 31 years old, and he has not been able to play more than 112 games in a season more than twice in his career. So that's the only concern for me when it comes to Aaron Judge, is his health. Can he last a season? Can he stay healthy at the age of 31? But so much is riding on it. But I'm with you, no action for MVP, AL MVP outside of the top three. Here we go. Number two, we're going to the hardwood, and that's the Warriors. As we know, they're up on the series 3-0 against the Mavs. Dare I say sweep, Aaron? Okay, reaction or no action? Are the Golden State Warriors going to sweep the Mavs?
I'm going reaction on this one, and I feel like I keep going back and forth, especially because this is the big talk. Are the Warriors going to be able to sweep? And every time I think, okay, the Mavs, you know what, they're going to grab at least one game at home, and I think it would be this game. But then I just look back to these other games, and the Warriors have outscored them in the first three games by 43 points. That's an average of 14.3 points per game. Now, last game, of course, you had the Warriors as a slight underdog at one point, and people were loving to hammer them on the money line. And we're kind of in that type of situation again. And I think what this series really comes down to is that there's an issue with pace. The Warriors play at such a fast pace, and I talked about this before the series even started. Meanwhile, the Mavs, they really like to slow things down. Those two styles of play are just conflicting with each other, and we're seeing that. The Warriors are just so deep. When one player isn't able to step up, there's another one right there. Luka cannot do it all on his own, so if I had to pick, I'm definitely going to go with reaction. I think the Warriors absolutely had the potential to sweep. They just have too many guys that are too good.
Yeah, we're lock and step here, 2 for 2. I'm going reaction here as well. Teams that started the series 0-3, okay, have now gone 0-146 in regard to winning the series. It just doesn't happen. And so if we're talking about it here on Bet, I'd imagine that a number of the dudes in that Dallas locker room know what time it is. I mean, do they come out with a valiant effort so that they don't get swept? Possibly, but I think it's too big of a hill for them to climb. On top of that, you talk about Luka putting up 40 points. They're still 2-6 in 8 games in the postseason with Luka putting up those numbers. And as for the Golden State Warriors, it's not just about Clay and Curry. It's the bench that steps up. It's Wiggins. It's Looney. When these guys, it's Poole. When these guys step up, they're helping on the defensive side of the ball, but they're also putting up 17, 20, 25 points. I just don't think, I think they do get swept. Here we go. Number 3, we're sticking with the hardwood, and that's the Miami Heat to beat the Celtics in Game 7 is plus 280, okay? Now, it's 3-1 for the Celtics to win in 7, but interesting enough, it is also the same odds for Boston to win in 6. Can Boston beat the Heat in 6? Reaction or no action?
Look, I'm going no action on this for a few reasons. One, there's just way too many injuries on both sides of the ball right now. Now, I had talked about before the series even started, I like the Celtics 4-2, win the series in 6 games. But at the same time, now that I'm looking at it, I do think the Celtics take the game tonight. I'm sure we're going to get into that. But for them to win 3 straight is going to be extremely tough to get that in 6. I think the Heat also playing at home, always they seem to play better there. Now, I am just concerned all around in terms of futures for this market. I feel like since it's the playoffs and we don't have so many games each day that we kind of focus on the futures markets and things like that, but at the same time, it's you have to be cautious in markets like this, especially when there's so many players that are currently injured. At least for the Mavs Golden State game, everyone's relatively healthy. It's just a totally different story in this series. So no action for me on the Celtics in 6 right now.
All right, I'm going to zig where you zag, and I'm going reaction here. And again, we're going to do a deeper dive into this game tonight, but I do believe Boston does win. And then I think with all the injuries that the Miami Heat are dealing with, granted, Boston's dealing with some injuries as well, but it seems like there is a plethora that the Miami Heat are dealing with. And Boston, one of the best out of the remaining teams in the postseason, one of the best teams to win on the road. So I have them winning tonight. I feel that at least it's going to be a really close game in that game 5 back in Miami, and then I think Boston can bring it back home and seal the deal in 6. So I'm going reaction here. With that being said, how about we take you to Beantown? Let's take you to Boston. Nick Friedell joins us now. Nick, welcome in. You're on with Erin and I. Thrilled to have you on Bet tonight. And let's talk about, as I was saying, there was a plethora of injuries, right, for the Miami Heat. And even though the Heat managed to beat Boston, you still had, Butler who left the game. Now we're hearing Tyler Hero has, a hamstring, a quad. Fill us in. What's the latest with the injuries with the Miami Heat players?
Anita, let's go down the list. Jimmy Butler's going to play. He was out here a couple hours ago on this floor walking around in his slippers. He knows how much he means to this team, but the Heat are going to watch him very closely. I would not expect him to play gigantic minutes, especially if he is showing any issue running around on that knee. Tyler Hero is out, and it is rare for the Heat to rule somebody out this early in the day leading up to the game, so that shows you how much he's hurting. He's day to day. Kyle Lowry is still dealing with a hamstring injury. I would expect them to ramp up his minutes a little bit, but it remains to be seen how much he can handle. Then you got PJ Tucker. He's dealing with some knee soreness. He was wearing a sleeve on that knee this morning, trying to get some circulation in it. He'll be out there, but he's another guy you've got to watch very closely. He's played a lot of minutes, and that knee is bugging him.
And Nick, the Celtics were supposed to be dominant in defense in this series, but then we saw them with 23 turnovers, which then led to 33 points for the Heat. That was roughly 30% of the Heat's total offense. So just given all of this, how much confidence do you think the Heat have in terms of they can win without Jimmy Butler even playing in that second half and essentially beat the Celtics at their own game?
Erin, they were beaming walking out of here the other night. They knew that they had done exactly what they needed in Boston, no matter what happens later tonight in Game 4. The Heat's confidence right now, even after all those injuries we just went through, is off the charts because they feel like they have exactly the type of talent they need no matter who is out there on the floor. It feels like a college program. One guy goes down, another guy steps up. Without Tyler Hero, here comes Victor Oladipo. Without Jimmy Butler, there's Max Strus knocking down the biggest shot of the night. So the Heat feel like they have the depth to compensate for whoever's not out there. But we all know in the postseason, your stars have to win out. And if the Heat stars aren't healthy, it's going to be tough for them to get through the end of this series and beat Boston.
Nick, thank you so much. I know a big night ahead for you. We appreciate you on Bet. We go from Boston to Dallas. Big D. Tim Bontemps joins us now. Of course, big game tomorrow. And I'm going to stay in the same realm, and I need to know about these injuries because they've been a big key for both these series. And as we know, Jayson Tatum, Marcus Smart left the court early, pulled the Paul Pierce, came back in. Get us up to speed. What's going on that side for both Tatum and Marcus Smart for tomorrow?
Well, Marcus Smart has a right ankle sprain. He's questionable for tonight's game. We'll see how he responds to treatment throughout the day. Ime Udoka, the Celtics coach, said yesterday it would be a matter of how he responded to treatment throughout the day today to determine whether he would be able to go in Game 4 tonight. Same thing with Robert Williams. He's dealing with left knee soreness, same issue that's bothered him since the middle of the last series against the Milwaukee Bucks. He sat out Games 5, 6, and 7 with knee soreness. He also had a meniscus surgery on that same knee a couple of months ago, caused him to miss the end of the regular season and the beginning of the first round against the Brooklyn Nets. And as we saw with Bam Adebayo going crazy inside in Game 3, the Celtics could really use their shot-blocking center back on the court tonight. As for Jayson Tatum with that shoulder stinger, he should be fine. He said he was fine after the game. He's listed as probable. Ime Udoka said there's no issues with him. He should be ready to go tonight. And certainly the Celtics are going to want to see a lot more from him after he went 3 for 14 and really struggled in that Game 3 loss.
And Tim, I thought this was an interesting stat. So the Celtics Heat, they played 12 quarters of basketball. Meanwhile, the Heat have only outscored them in 2 of those 12, yet they lead the series 2-1. How befuddling is that to Celtics players and fans?
Well, it's not that befuddling when you look, Erin, at the amount of points that the Heat won those 2 quarters by, right? They won the third quarter of Game 1 by 25. They won the first quarter of Game 3 by 21. 46 points over 2 quarters. That's really been the difference in this series so far. And for the Celtics, those quarters have been emblematic of when they look really bad, obviously, and that happens when they get sped up by the Heat's physicality, intensity on defense. That's the thing the Celtics talked a lot about after Game 1. It's what they talked even more about after Game 3. That if they're going to win this game tonight and they're going to go on to win this series, they're going to have to do a much better job of matching and handling the Heat's physicality. Again, as I mentioned earlier, Bam Adebayo took things over in Game 3. Kyle Lowry's impact in his return was really felt. PJ Tucker is a force when he's out on the court. You know, the Heat play, whenever the Heat get into a tight spot, really ever since Pat Riley got there 27 years ago, their solution to the problem is to play harder and play more aggressively. They did that in Game 3. The Celtics could not handle it in the first quarter. And although they only scored 70 points after that over the final 3 quarters, it was enough for the Heat to get a win. So I think the whole key to this game for either team tonight is whether the Celtics can take care of the ball. If they do, I think the Celtics win. If they don't, the Heat will be up 3-1 going back to Miami.
Tim, I'm sorry. I was befuddled. I'm already jumping ahead to tomorrow's night Golden State Warriors-Dallas game. I apologize. You were in Boston, of course, covering the series tonight. Thank you, my friend.
You got it. No problem.
I'm all over you got it. I'm all over the place, Erin. Let's get this ship sailing right in the right direction. Let's break down this game tonight. And it's the game that's being played, of course, the Heat and the Celtics. So now the Celtics favored by 7. The over-under's at 206. What are your plays tonight?
So I'm staying away from the spread altogether. There's just a lot of unknowns. And then as for that total, all morning I was leaning towards the under. It was 208.5 this morning when I was looking at it. It's already down to 206.5. I don't really like that. That way I would kind of lean over at that point, but I don't really feel like I have a strong stance on that, just given, let's say, if Robert Williams as well as Marcus Smart, for example, aren't able to play in this game or something happens, I do think that defenses would be kind of in trouble there. So you might see some players actually able to put up some points. So staying from the total, I think I'm going to go Celtics double-double. So what we're going to do here, double result, meaning that the Celtics are winning at halftime. They also go on to win the game. They were absolutely tragic, terrible. I don't know what other adjective we could use. There's a million we could use that are synonymous with that. But they were terrible in that first half of the game. They went 15 for 35. They also went 3 for 12 from 3. And they also had, for the entire game, like you mentioned, 23 turnovers, which the Heat capitalized on, able to score 33 points off of those turnovers. Tatum was terrible in terms of turnovers, as well as Jaylen Brown turnovers, but at least he was able to put up 40 points while Tatum took a back seat during that game. I just think we're going to see some positive regression all around for this team. And again, this to me is a must-win, because if the Heat go up 3-1, then the series heads back to Miami, and they win this next game, the Celtics are done. I don't think the Celtics are going to allow that at TD Garden. I like them to win the first half as well as go on to win the game. Celtics double result.
I love it. I love it. I'm all over it as well. I'm going to follow your lead there. I'm wearing the Jayson Tatum shirt for tonight. I mean, the second half, 7, 8 turnovers, I believe he put up with 0 points. There's no way that happens again.
Terrible.
In fact, I mean, no. Erin, I've already put money down that I feel the Celtics are going to win the championship, and I've already put money down that he's going to win the MVP of the championship. So I need for him to get back into his winning ways. For me, I'm going to lay the points with the Celtics tonight. I also like the team total over 106.5. For all the reasons you said, this is a must-win game for the Boston Celtics. And when you look at all the injuries, and we just pointed them out with our guest that came on, I think it's going to be a much more difficult fight to have for the Miami Heat with all their injuries and their key players, as opposed to just some minor ailments, right, that the Boston Celtics are working with. And dare I even throw this out, that that a team would even consider not tanking a game, but maybe taking the pedal off the gas this game, knowing that, all right, listen, chances are we might not win this game. Let's get healthy. Let's maybe not play some of our guys. Let's get healthy and really focus on let's tie the series up 2-2, and then it's a 3-game series. I'm just saying there's a possibility that might happen. In regard to prop bets, I'm staying off of prop bets until I find out. I think Robert Williams is a big key here. If Robert Williams plays, I'm going under par for Bam, and I want to say it's at 27.5. If he does play, if he does not play, I'm going to go over. I'm going to go double for Horford tonight. Those would be the two prop bets I'm looking, but I'm going to wait and see, is Robert Williams going to be active or not active? You have a prop you want to get to as well?
Not to cut you off there. Yes, there is another prop that I like, and you're wearing the shirt of the player that I like, Jayson Tatum. Now, the reason that I wanted to kind of take a player prop of somebody that I knew was going to be in was obviously because there's so many unknowns and different variables of that nature. But I do like Tatum to go over 38.5 points, rebounds, and assists. When he had a bad shooting performance in the previous 2 series, that was against the Bucks as well as the Nets. He was able to follow that up with a great dominant performance, and he actually hit over this player combo listed at 38.5 in both games in which he had a poor shooting performance. It's Jayson Tatum. He's a superstar. He knows he needs to step up. You mentioned you don't think what's going to happen in the second half is going to happen once again. He knows what's on the line for this team, and I expect him to have a huge game. So over 38.5 par for me for Tatum tonight.
All right, now tomorrow night in Dallas, we've got Game 4, and the Golden State Warriors looking to sweep the Mavs. They're favored by 1. The over-under is 215.5. Do you have a play for tomorrow night?
Yeah, I lean towards the under in this one. The previous game had just gone under, and the reason I like this is because the Dallas Mavericks at home, their defensive rating just gets so much better. So when they're on the road, it's 118.5, and when they go home, it's 104.5. They're actually one of the best teams defensively right now left in the postseason when playing at home. Kyler also always harped on this during the regular season, that the Mavs, when playing at home, their defense always tends to get better. And then when you have a Warriors squad that seems to be better at home offensively as well, 119.4, that drops to 110 when playing on the road. This game is going to be super defensive because they don't want to be swept by, obviously, the Golden State Warriors. So I just think both teams really step up in terms of defense. And, you know, this is kind of an end-all, be-all type game for them. So, again, I like under, or leaning under, I should say, 215.5 right now.
I like it. I'm going money line here. I do believe that it's a sweep. Like I said when we started the bet show, and that is teams that start 0-3 end up 0-146 all time in the postseason. And so I just think it's too big of a mountain to climb. And something very interesting, Jason Kidd, head coach of the Dallas Mavs, came out this week and said, this is a journey for us. This team is just getting started. They've got young, exciting talent that now that they're building around Luka, accentuating his talent and his ability, even though 40 points, they're still 2-6. But I think there's a brighter future here. It's not just this series. I don't think this is an organization or a franchise that's looking like, we got to win now, our time is now, this is our window, it's closing. It's not what I'm hearing from Jason Kidd. So I think I'm thinking bigger picture here, and I do believe they're going to get swept. All right, it is time for place or pass. Erin, Dolan, you ready to go? Let's start with Al Horford. I mentioned it before. You know where I'm going here. Yes, double-double at plus 190. Place or pass?
This is super enticing, especially after what we saw last game, but I'm going to go pass on this for a few reasons. One, Al Horford, whenever that I want to bet on him, he just is so inconsistent as a player. I'm not saying he's a bad player, it's just in terms of his numbers, they seem to be always inconsistent. One second he's super up and having one of the best games of his career, one of the best postseason games that we saw in the previous series. That was great, but at the same time, I personally don't feel comfortable betting on a player like Al Horford. All things considered, yes, there could be a situation in which, you know, multiple players in the Celtics could potentially be out or injured in this one, which would bump up his points. I just think, again, it's a little too inconsistent for me, so I'm going to stay away from this one. I'm going to pass on this one. But Anita, as I know, you're definitely going to place this, I'm assuming.
Listen, Erin, I love Al Horford. I know he's not the straw that stirs the
I know
drink,
you
but I've
do.
said it before. He's the syrupy blueberry in the bottom of your old fashioned, which to me sets an old fashioned over the top. So I love what he's been able to do here. I just I don't know what to say because I'm waiting to hear whether or not Robert Williams is going to play. I got burned last game.
That's the key
I thought
word,
Robert
waiting.
Williams was going to play last
We've
game.
been waiting all day.
Right? And exactly, and he hasn't. So I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to wait. I'm going to follow social media, Woj bomb. We'll see what happens. And if Robert Williams is playing, then if Robert Williams is not playing, I think the double-double, I think it's a sure thing because he's going to be needed in the paint, especially crushing the boards and helping out defensively for sure. All right, number 2, place or pass. PJ Tucker over 7.5 points. You get that around even money. What are you going to do?
I'm going to pass on this one as well. He's also day-to-day questionable. We're not really sure if he's even going to be playing. He had 5 points in the first 2 games and obviously hit over this last game, but I think PJ Tucker is more so focused on limiting a player like Jayson Tatum that I don't expect him to be concerned so much on the offensive side of things, especially with Kyle Lowry now back into the lineup. And I assume Jimmy Butler is going to play. I think everybody's kind of having this consensus now. He's been on the boards all day in terms of his player props. I just personally am not looking to back a player like PJ Tucker to go over 7.5 points. I get it's at plus money. Again, I don't even know what's really going to happen in terms of his health and availability. So I'm going to pass on this one, like I said.
I'm with you, lock and step. I'm passing only 2 of the 3 games that these 2 teams have played as he put up just 5 points. So he hasn't even gotten to 7.5. I think that's asking for a lot. Again, granted, he's injured. He's limited. Even if he does play, I do believe that he'll be limited in minutes. And his role specifically is to help out defensively. I mean, he's just been such a beast defensively. And so I don't look at PJ Tucker as an offensive element. And again, I truly believe this might be a game where the Heat kind of like take their foot off the pedal for a second, have their guys get healthy, and then go back to Miami 2-2 in the series. Here we go. Place or pass number 3, and that's the Dallas Mavericks. First to 20 points tomorrow night at -120. What are you going to do here?
I would place this. I think the Dallas Mavs are going to come out firing. Hopefully there's shots for them as well as obviously because I like this bet that they would be able to go down. I do get a little bit nervous that Luka can't do it all. He's going to play lights out tomorrow night. If they're able to limit him, then he needs to lean on the role players like Spencer Dinwiddie as well as Jalen Brunson. But Stephen A. Smith kind of said it best this morning. What is Luka supposed to do? When the role players are either hit or miss, and when they're on, and they can beat anybody, it feels like, but when they're off, they're super off. And there's never a situation where one player can pick up the slack for the other in these types of situations. But I do think if the Mavs want to win this one, got to get out to that quick start, but you have to sustain the lead. That is going to be key for a win. We've seen the Warriors come back late in that third, fourth quarter. The Warriors are actually one of the best third quarter teams. Insane stats is actually one of them on my YouTube page. But nonetheless, I would place this one. I think the Mavs will be the first to 20 points.
Oh, Erin, I'm going to pass. I'll let you play it. I'm going to pass. You've got a Golden State Warriors team. They've won the first quarter in 2 of their last 3. Straight up, of course, not against the spread. I don't even know what that spread was going into those 3 games. But nonetheless, to get to 21st, I know Luka's been a beast, but the other role players aren't contributing, right? Like Bullock was 0 for what? 0 for 10, I believe, this last game. Brunson only put up 20 points. So as magical as Luka has been, unfortunately, the other surrounding parts are not stepping up. So I'm going to pass here. Last one, and that's Steph Curry over 27.5 points. You could get it -120. Does he have a big game tonight? Are you placing or are you passing?
So I'm going to pass on this, and this is not a slight at Steph Curry. He's absolutely unbelievable. But at the same time, when you look at this Golden State Warriors team, it is so incredibly hard to bet player props because you don't know which player is going to go off each game. This has been something that I struggled with the entire season. This isn't just this postseason. And with Steph Curry currently averaging 28 points so far in this series, obviously it's slightly up, 28.5 is what his player prop is listed at right now. I just personally never feel comfortable betting on any Warriors player props, especially with some of the stars like I mentioned. They either go off or they don't. Steph Curry's been absolutely fantastic, especially last game. He was so good last game, but maybe we see some regression in terms of how he was shooting after last game. We saw this kind of happen with the Memphis Grizzlies as well as the Denver Nuggets. They lost one of those games, and it was kind of just mind-boggling. Maybe we'll see that in this game because they're on the road. But nonetheless, I'm just going to pass on the Steph Curry prop altogether.
Man, Erin, we are zigging. I am zigging when you are zagging, and I'm going to place here 2 of the 3 games. He's put up over 30 points. And, we've been talking about it. The depth here of this Golden State Warriors team has just been so tremendous that you have Looney who comes in and you bring him in defensively. What happens? He puts up 17, 18, 20 points. You bring in Wiggins to help defend. What happens? He puts up 20 points. He goes 5 for 7 from downtown. And oh, by the way, has a dunk for a poster that some 7-year-old is going to have above his bed tomorrow morning. I mean, it's just, you can't double Steph Curry. You can't do it. The depth is too good. The surrounding players outside of Clay, outside of Green are contributing. So I'm going to place it. Curry's too good, and you can't double team him. I'm going to go over 27.5. I'm going to place it for sure. All right, we're going to end on this. This is going to be a fun one. We've got a great slate of Major League Baseball games tonight. Longball Longshot. Who do you feel has the best shot? Chicks love the long ball. We know that. Who has the best shot, Erin, to hit a home run tonight? Who are you rolling with?
I'm going with Cubs, Patrick Wisdom, plus 295 to hit a home run off the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds are absolutely terrible. And you know who's on the mound? We currently have Vladimir Gutierrez on the mound. He's 0-5 record this season. And look at that ERA, 8.65. Now, Wisdom has been great the last 2 games. He had a home run in both of those. That was off the Arizona Diamondbacks. So his bats are hot. He should do well. He's leading the Cubs in home runs this season with 9. I expect him, or I shouldn't say I expect him because it is a long ball, long shot, but I do think he could get a home run tonight, especially off of this pitcher for the Reds. So again, Wisdom plus 295 to have a home run.
All right, I'm going with Bryce Harper, and you could get that at plus 390. He's got 9 home runs on the season so far. And this is a Phillies team. They're going up against the Braves. On the bump for the Braves is going to be Davidson, who his ERA is almost at 6. It's pretty embarrassing. Left-handed pitcher who the Phillies, with their power, they crush southpaws. So love Bryce Harper. He's back in action. This is a Phillies team. They're averaging 5 runs a game against southpaws. So I think, I love the Phillies tonight anyway. I'll have that, of course, on Daily Wager that you'll be able to watch on ESPN2 coming your way at 6 o'clock tonight with me, Erin, and Joe Fortenbaugh. But also, I'm going to lay some coin on Bryce Harper hitting one out of the ballpark. Erin, it's been fun. Appreciate you. Girls holding down the fort. We've got you covered. NBA, as well as Major League Baseball. Enjoy tonight. Let's all win some money. Make sure you tune in to Daily Wager later on tonight, 6 o'clock on ESPN2. We'll see you there.